The United States of America has a very big problem. This problem is going to seriously impact each and every one of us and our children. The problem is that in the next 2 to 3 decades, the greatest nation in the history of the world is going to run out of money. That's right, Uncle Sam is going broke. Hard to believe? Not if you listen to most of the economists in the free world who are studying this problem right now. You see, if we continue on our current course, which we probably will, our entitlement spending, or the money we spend on programs like Social Security, Medicare, government health care, and interest on the national debt, will make up almost the entire federal budget before the end of this decade. That means we will not have enough money left to pay for education, justice, environmental programs, roads and bridges, and other critical infrastructure. And in 20 years, we won't even have enough money left to pay for national defense. But of course, we won't shut down all of our schools, we won't shut down our court system, and we won't fire the armed forces. No, but what we will do is borrow more and more money each year to keep these programs going. Neither of our political parties has the will or the interest to fix this problem. Neither party is willing to cut entitlement spending, nor to raise taxes, both of which are necessary to balance the budget. So instead, we'll just keep borrowing more money. In fact, we'll keep borrowing to the point where we have to borrow money just to pay the interest on the national debt. And then one day, our beloved creditors, like China, will stop lending us money. And that, my fellow Americans, is how a great society like the United States of America falls into ruin. You don't believe this can happen to an industrialized nation like America? Well, if you haven't been watching the news, here's some news that we all need to pay attention to. Greece, an industrialized nation and an important member of the European Union, has experienced catastrophic financial collapse. And not long after, Greek society completely deteriorated into social anarchy. How did Greece fall into this predicament? Simple. Their corrupt elected officials allowed deficit spending to get out of control because they were too worried about appeasing short-term interests instead of focusing on the long-term health of their nation. Does this sound familiar? It should. It's exactly the same course that the United States is currently on. It's not a question of if, but rather when the U.S. will go broke if we continue on our current course. But unlike Greece, who will probably survive thanks to a massive German bailout, there is no safety net large enough to stop the fall of the United States once it begins. Now, as grim as this all sounds, we can still avoid this disaster and ensure that America continues to be a free and prosperous nation. But one thing is for certain, the solution will absolutely not come from our elected officials. In fact, our elected officials are the very reason we're in this mess. You see, for the past 30 years, our government has known about this problem and has done nothing about it. In fact, the worse our financial situation becomes, the more irresponsible our politicians have become with runaway deficit spending. Why should you care about all this? Because every generation of Americans in our nation's history has worked very hard so that their children could have a brighter and more prosperous future. If we don't take back our government from the corrupt politicians and special interest groups, we will be the first generation of Americans to leave this nation worse off than we found it. And more importantly, our children and our grandchildren will not enjoy the blessings of American prosperity that we have enjoyed. And even if you don't have any children, you still need to care about this issue for your own self-interest. If you thought that this last recession was bad, you haven't seen anything. When the government of the United States begins to default on its loans, it will cause shockwaves throughout the world economy. We will see unprecedented losses in the stock market and a collapse of our national economic output. That means that every single one of us will be impacted. So what can you do to prevent this from happening? What can you do to protect American prosperity and the ideals that we believe in so strongly as a nation? It's simple. Join the Declaration of Reform movement today. The Declaration of Reform movement is a grassroots movement of the people and for the people of the United States. We are committed to protecting the American dream for ourselves and our children. We believe that the only way for America to remain strong and avoid financial disaster is through meaningful governmental reform. Our elected officials from both parties have shown us time and time again that they cannot and will not clean themselves up. It is therefore up to each and every one of us as Americans to clean up our government before it's too late. The Declaration of Reform movement is committed to convening a constitutional convention of the people to amend the Constitution of the United States. The purpose of this convention is to root out government corruption once and for all through a combination of term limits, campaign finance reform, improved election procedures, and strong governmental oversight. The Declaration of Reform movement is not a political movement. We do not endorse any party, any political platform, or any candidates for office. In fact, we are not the ones who will save this nation from the perilous path that we're currently on. It's up to our elected officials to do that. The Declaration of Reform wants to make sure that those elected officials who will be making these tough decisions can do so in a system that is free from corruption and party politics. And the only way to ensure this is by amending the Constitution of the United States. We are now at a great crossroads as a nation. If we do not act now, we will all pay the price for our inaction in the next 2 to 3 decades, and our children will never have the opportunities or the prosperity that we once had. We are calling on you to help us create a better government for the United States. Being part of this historic and critically important movement is so simple. First, we ask that you become a member of the Declaration of Reform movement today by registering on our website. There's no cost to become a member. Second, we ask that you share this website with your family, your friends, and your associates. Help us grow this movement. And third, if you have the financial means, we ask that you contribute to our cause so that we have the funding necessary to market and grow our movement and to call for a constitutional convention. This is your chance to really make a difference, to provide a better future for yourself and future generations of Americans. Thank you.